Hey everyone, back with what will hopefully be a pretty quick project here. So currently waiting on the Mauser DigiKey order to come in for that Harman Kardon 330C. So picked up this Sanyo 2033 a couple days ago, or I guess a little over a week ago at this point. Bought it, supposedly was working fine, but noticed some issues with the power switch. It appears that the power switch is failing. So this will just be a quick video tutorial on how to change out the power switch on one of these. So you can see over here we got our new power switch and a snubbing cap just to make sure this one doesn't suffer the same fate that the original did. So I guess we can get down to it. I already unscrewed the top cover here, so can just pull that out of the way. I can get it to come off. And excuse the shakiness, the camera mount is attached to the little table I'm working on here, so anytime I bump the table or move this thing, you guys are probably going to get a little shakiness. Okay, so that's just held on by 4 screws, and our power switch is on the side. I guess before I start digging it apart, maybe I can try to just show you guys the issues it's having. So the first symptom I noticed the first time I turned it on, as soon as you turned it on, you could hear some crackling, and the bulbs were pulsating as the switch was arcing, trying to turn it on. It eventually will settle down, but yeah, it's no good. You don't want that. So let's just try to see if it'll demonstrate the same behavior. I'm not sure if you guys heard that, but there was a little bit kind of noise as I hit the switch on. I'll do it again. Okay, that time it worked fine. And of course, when I'm trying to demonstrate it, it won't. There you go. Did you guys see that? That time I just turned the dim bulb on and off. You can see the meters flicker, the lights flicker a little bit. Eventually settled itself in, but there we go. That time. Okay, let me just turn that off because really don't want that happening. But so as you can see, yeah, we got issues with that switch. Did a Pioneer, I think with SX450 a little bit ago, had similar issues. It just needed the power switch cleaned on that one, but on this unit, because this switch is known to be so poor over the years, just going to switch it out so the same thing doesn't happen again. Okay, let me get the unit here situated so we can start pulling it apart. Okay, so we got the side with the power switch pointing towards us. This here is the board that the switch is mounted on. I can see the fuse windings coming off the transformer, coming to this. So this is just attached with 2 screws here and here, as well as kind of a press fitting that connects the decorative outer switch to the actual switch, if you will. Let's see if we can show that. Get light in there. go. So there's the switch body. You can see the red thing kind of on the bottom of the board, and this white piece in here. That's the connection between the kind of decorative front switch and the actual electrical switch. You can see this light may be a little too strong, but you can see kind of the springs there. Let's try turning it down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so there's a kind of a clamp, press clamp from the decorative switch. See the springs that are on the actual power switch. So to disconnect that, we're basically just going to pull that front switch away from the actual switch shaft. So step one, basically just going to remove these two screws. If you're going to do this yourself, goes without saying, do it at your own risk. You're going to want to make sure the unit's unplugged and the caps are discharged before touching anything to do with the power switch. Let's see if I can. Yeah, also apologize, in a different room working on this thing, and the light in here sucks. Okay, you can see the board starting to come loose. Okay, probably can't see it, but just gonna grab the decorative switch and just pull it off that shaft there. Okay, so that came loose. Now we can pull our switchboard up, get a view of everything. Just be careful of the wires. Okay, so our switch is under this protective cover here, so we're just going to remove the cover. One screw here, two screws here. So this is not the first time I've been in this unit with this switch. So the first time I came in, this screw that I'm undoing now was covered in a sort of glue or adhesive, I guess, just to make sure it wouldn't knock loose. And that was causing some real issues trying to get the screwdriver to grip in there. So had to really press and try to get rid of that adhesive gunk that was covering it. Get the screwdriver to actually grip without stripping the screw. And the second one, so the first one had a kind of a metal tooth collar washer on it for grounding. And this one on the outside has nothing. Okay, so we have our screw, covers off. Okay, and here's the switch. So as I mentioned, I wasn't here for the switch before. I attempted to try to just clean the switch. You can see, use a pin vise and a couple on the top and in the back just to get like an access hole for some contact cleaner. But that did not work. Still have the symptoms. You should be able to, or typically you'd be able to unmount the switch from the board and pull the cases apart and get in at the contacts, but they use that same adhesive all over the through holes here, as you can see. So there was no way to pull it apart, and that kind of prompted the decision just to replace this thing. So maybe once I get it off, I'll try to cut it open and just break it open and see how bad those contacts look. So here's our new switch. Supposedly it's just a straight drop-in replacement. It does look pretty close. Only thing, we'll have to try to salvage this metal collar, I believe. Okay, so yeah, what we're going to do now is just desolder the switch from the board. Again, I already did that when I was trying to clean it out, so it's going to go back and do it again. I'm not sure if I need to show this on video. Just going to use a desoldering tool and hit the, what's there, 6 pins that are soldered down. So once I get it out, I'll check back in with you guys. Okay, we got the old switch off, as you can see. So here's the old one. Something to note here on the replacement. So this is the old one. You can see on the back end of the switch, it's only got 2 posts, where the new one has 4. But the board was set up from the factory with 4 holes in it. I guess it'll take us in for a look here. So this is where the back of the switch was sitting. Here were the 2 that were being used, and these were just filled in with solder on the bottom side of the board. I believe this is for if it was going to be a dual voltage unit. You'd have one side of the switch for US voltage and the other side for European or 240, 100, whatever. So you just could set it up with for 2 voltage sources. So I just clean the solder from the bottom side of these. Okay, so we're going to want to pull the front plate off. It's got 4 tabs, as you can see, that are bent over. So I'm just going to try using some those pliers or a small screwdriver just to pry those out, and then we should be able to mount it. You can see the mounting slots here on this new switch. Also on the new switch, we're going to put in a snubber cap across these 2 contacts, the 2 that are being that are going to be being used. So it looks something like that. Switch just across. One thing we'll have to make sure is that with the plate over the switch that we have enough clearance for that cap. So I'm just gonna start working on getting this front bracket off, and onto the new switch. Checked the clearances for the cap, and started that cap in. So let me just pull this, find my pliers, and see if I can get this little mounting piece off here. Okay, so as they say, it's never as easy as it seems. So while online, everyone was saying that this new switch was a direct substitute for the old. May be true performance-wise, but dimension-wise, they are a bit off. So, show this. My camera will focus. So, as you can see, the pins on the new switch are slightly lower towards the front of the switch than on the old, and I guess width-wise, you can see when you line up those 6 pins in the front. Come on, camera focus. There we go. When you line up the 6 pins in the front, these pins in the back are a bit more in towards the middle. So what I had to do, or what I did, was I drilled 2 new holes in the PCB, just with the pin vise. So it's a pretty handy little tool to have. You can see on the bottom the 2 new holes there. And what we're going to do is install the switch with the legs going. Sorry there, for whatever reason my camera just stopped. But what we're going to do is just drop the switch in, the leads into those new holes, and then just jumper them to the old pad. Make sure we get good connection. And on the other side, again, they didn't line up with the holes that were covered in solder. So seeing as they're not used, I just went ahead and trimmed those other 2 off, just so I didn't have to make 2 more holes through the original PCB. When you're doing the holes, you just have to be forceful and gentle at the same time. You really don't want to risk breaking the PCB, because then the kind of internal traces might break, and then you have to deal with jumper wiring everything once you can find the break in that trace. So now with our new hole, or 2 new holes, switch fits in, so drops in. All the leads go through on the bottom appropriately. So we still have to install that snubber cap, so I'll just go ahead and do that now. Again, probably do that off camera. Nothing fancy, just installing it on the 2 contacts for the switch. That helps reduce arcing and prevent an early failure of the switch. So I'm just gonna probably put 1 lead and like here, and then just bend this other lead back, tack it in with some solder. I did look at what it's going to look like with the cover on. So this is with the screw holes lined up. You can see we do have quite a bit of clearance, so that shouldn't be an issue. And then on the board, let me put that back on there. On the board, I guess we'll just want to keep it low and tight. There is that the fuse there, but should be high enough above it where we won't be resting our cap on the fuse. And we'll just have to kind of either tuck this wire down or up, just to, maybe I'll leave a little extra leg on the cap just to try to, so that way I can bend it either over or under this wire. Okay, so do that off camera, and we'll come back and see how it came out. Okay, so we got everything wired in here. Let me just try to get some light so we can see better. So one lead was able to bend over, that one front, and just solder it to the old through-hole pad there. The other one just had to do a small jumper, this one here, between here and here. So tested it out with the multimeter. Everything seems to be connected up correctly. No solder jumps or anything. And then up here you can see the snubber cap soldered on. So let's put this thing back together. Pretty much just a reverse of taking it apart. So I'm going to throw on the mounting bracket back on here. Throw it back in the, mount it back to here, and then press the kind of press fitting on the actual power switch onto here, and we'll see if it works. Okay, the switch board's back installed, all screwed in. You can see our snubber cap has clearance to everything in here, so that worked out okay. So we'll plug it in to the dim bulb tester down on the floor here. Okay, we'll give it a turn so we can see it. Okay, and see if she powers up. It would help if I turn the dim bulb tester on, probably. Okay, take two. Okay, everything seems to powered up. Just cycle. Look at that. None of that ugly arcing noise. Lights aren't browning out. Looks like the replacement was a success. So it was a little more work than I was hoping. Really thought it was going to be a component replacement, basically just dropping that switch in, but doing the pin vise through the PCB seems to have worked well. So going to do some more testing and cleaning on this unit, but yeah, quick I don't know, hour and a half job or hour job with some little breaks in between. So not too bad for Monday night. If you guys have any questions on what I did today, just let me know, and thanks for watching. Hey everyone, back with what will hopefully be a pretty quick project here. So currently waiting on the Mauser DigiKey order to come in for that Harman & Kardon 330C. So picked up this Sanyo 2033 a couple days ago, or I guess a little over a week ago at this point. Bought it, supposedly was working fine, but noticed some issues with the power switch. It appears that the power switch is failing. So this will just be a quick video tutorial on how to change out the power switch on one of these. So you can see over here we got our new power switch and a snubbing cap, just to make sure this one doesn't suffer the same fate that the original did. So I guess we can get down to it. I already unscrewed the top cover here, so can just pull that out of the way. I can get it to come off. And excuse the shakiness, the camera mount is attached to the little table I'm working on here. So anytime I bump the table or move this thing, you guys are probably going to get a little shakiness. Okay, so that's just held down by 4 screws, and our power switch is on the side. I guess before I start digging it apart, maybe I can try to just show you guys the issues it's having. So the first symptom I noticed the first time I turned it on, as soon as you turned it on, you could hear some crackling, and the bulbs were pulsating as the switch was arcing, trying to turn it on. It eventually will settle down, but yeah, it's no good. You don't want that. So let's just try to see if it will demonstrate the same behavior. I'm not sure if you guys heard that, but there was a little bit kind of noise as I hit the switch on. I'll do it again. Okay, that time it worked fine. And of course, when I'm trying to demonstrate it, it won't. There you go. Did you guys see that? That time I just turned the dim bulb on and off. You can see the meters flicker, the lights flicker a little bit. Eventually settled itself in, but there we go. That time. Okay, let me just turn that off because really don't want that happening. But so as you can see, yeah, we got issues with that switch. Did a Pioneer, I think with SX450 a little bit ago, had similar issues. It just needed the power switch cleaned on that one, but on this unit,